Curitiba es el paradigma de ciudad para lo que es la definición del concepto del desarrollo urbano sustentável.
Curitiba tem uma grande importância para o mundo como um exemplo de uma cidade que se estruturou a partir do transporte. Curitiba começou a implantar um sistema de ônibus que teve muito sucesso. Evoluiu o seu sistema até um sistema que hoje se chama BRT.
Primeiro eram os ônibus em corredor exclusivo. Logo na sequência, utilizaram-se os ônibus articulados. Então, os ônibus, ao invés de transportar 70, 80 passageiros, passaram a transportar 120 e tal. Com o advento do biarticulado, isso pôde se estender até 250 passageiros. Depois foram criados os ônibus expressos. Depois foram criadas as estações tubos. A estação ficando no mesmo nível do ônibus, os passageiros podem embarcar e desembarcar em 10 segundos. Hoje, Curitiba está transportando 2.700.000 passageiros dia. É mais do que o número de habitantes que vivem na cidade.
Eu uso o sistema para trabalhar, eu uso o sistema para estudar, eu uso para tudo.
Saio do serviço, uso biarticulado, para casa biarticulado, curso biarticulado, então eu uso bastante. Para mim facilita bastante.
Junto com o BRT veio uma alteração no plano de crescimento da cidade. A cidade que até então tinha um crescimento no entorno do seu centro, passou a ter um desenvolvimento diferente ao longo de corredores de transporte.
A linha verde é um ótimo exemplo de revitalização de uma área da cidade antes ocupada por uma rodovia.
Foi construída num eixo que tinha uma ocupação do solo totalmente voltada a uso industrial ou serviços mais pesados da área de equipamentos, enfim.
Essas áreas todas ao longo dessa antiga rodovia podem então serem transformadas em áreas urbanas. E isso é muito importante e muito bom para a sustentabilidade da cidade.
Se o sistema BRT nunca tivesse sido implantado em Curitiba, eu acho que a cidade hoje seria um caos em termos de trânsito, como outras cidades onde você tem uma confusão, porque os bairros se crescem como querem, tem edifícios de 20, 40, 50 pavimentos em locais que não têm infraestrutura nem de escoamento desse público.
Durante tantos anos isso tem funcionado como uma boa solução de mobilidade para a população. Você tem mais tempo para a família, você perde menos tempo para ir para o trabalho.
Es un sistema que compite con los mejores sistemas de transporte masivo.
Através de um bom transporte público, você realmente pode melhorar a vida das pessoas.
Video surveillance in public transport is important for security, but also for operations and safety. Axis Communications and UITP have collaborated this year to investigate the international trends of this.
I think the survey is a good chance to get a view on the sector or our group, to see what our experiences are and to summarize the developments that are sometimes historic, but also look to the future.
Almost 2/3 of the responders have network cameras as part of their surveillance systems today, and little over half of the responders are using something called a hybrid surveillance system. That is a combination of analog cameras and network cameras into one system. A quarter of the responders are still solely relying on analog cameras. But what will it be in the future? The majority, 85%, will consider IP cameras as part of their investments. We can also see in green here a portion of 13% that are uncertain, and for those, approximately half do not have any investments plans in the coming year.
More than 80% of the respondents are already using camera images today for investigation and evidence collection purposes, which is perhaps the more traditional way to deal with camera footage, where also the image quality is the key criterion. Can you use your footage afterwards or not? However, if we look at the left side of the diagram, it's interesting to notice that also 2/3 of the respondents already use camera images for detection purposes and somewhat less in several phases of the incident management process. When we look into the use of real-time video today, then we see that around the stations, more than 70% of the respondents already use live footage of cameras for incident management or detection purposes. But also in the depots and rail yards, we see a high degree of usage for live pictures.
To use video surveillance in real time to act on incidents is something that has proven very efficient for us.
The most positive effect that was noticed is an improvement of security perception. So wherever we have camera surveillance in place, people tend to feel safer. But closely following are actually improvements of the real security and a reduction of crime.
What I think is remarkable is the very high acceptance of video surveillance also for customers but also for staff. The perception of security seems to be more important to people than any concerns about data security or protection.
When it comes to the challenges, then we see the number one challenges that operators have to deal with is, again, not surprisingly, managing the vast number of cameras already installed and the images that have to be monitored and dealt with. We see some challenges concerning the poor image quality, and we also see some issues concerning the skills required for operators to handle all the system. What is interesting to notice is that about 20% of the operators mentioned they have no issues from the technical point of view with camera systems.
And in the survey, we have looked into 12 different analytics divided into the 4 groups you see up here. And in general, it's a very high awareness of video analytics. From 35 to almost 80% of all responders know of some of the analytics, one way or another.
The use of intelligent analytics for the detection of incidents is a really interesting development in the video surveillance world. And we see from the survey that a decent amount of operators are already using some applications, and that many more are very interested in the future in using such applications.
What is the interest of video analytics moving forward? First of all, it's quite broad, and there seems to be a high interest amongst all the 12 video analytics in the survey. And a summary to this slide here is that approximately 50% of the responders will be using somewhere between 7 and 10 different video analytics moving forward if the interest continues like this. And let's move over to some conclusions, Andrea. What are those?
I think it has become very clear that network video is the future of video surveillance in public transport, but it's important to keep in mind that analog cameras will continue to play a role for quite a while. So I guess it's safe to say we will see these hybrid systems still for the foreseeable future.
And another finding is the usage of video surveillance has classically been in the investigation phase, evidence making, but it's now moving over to the real-time use of it in the detection and the response phase. And if this trend continues, it will have a positive impact on the ability to handle incidents.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's just another step to make technology a real support for security staff. So we can look forward to more interesting developments.
Yeah. And with that, we thank you for listening to us from Axis and from
UITP. For this survey, it was a very interesting cooperation between UITP and an industry member of ours, because very often we tend to talk about video surveillance, and I guess the industry is talking about video surveillance, but pooling the expertise together and actually finding out what are the potentials and the shortcomings of technology today was a very interesting exercise. So now we have a snapshot of the situation as it is, and maybe in a while we can find out some trends.
Right about 4 times out of 4. Is this like, do you have other means of transportation, or is this like one of your primary means? Where's the primary destination that the shuttle takes you? How important are the shuttle services to you?
It's important because we get people back and forth to work.
People who depend on this to get them at a certain place at a certain time. Say somebody's looking for a job like me. I don't work, so I need this to get around town for different interviews and stuff.
We are a family of 6, well, plus 7. So doctor's appointments, or when the car is towed, or anything like that, yes, that would be very, very, very grateful. I am very thankful, yes. We are very thankful.
What do you use the bus for?
Well, for transportation, when I can't get, nobody else to take me. But mainly transportation, going back and forth to my appointments, Department of Labor, job appointment, things like that.
I have to get to VSU every day from basically Bright Street. So, and I don't have another ride to get there. So basically this is my means of getting to school.
The reason why they should keep running the shuttle, because the summer is coming up, the kids coming out of school, maybe the parents want to take their kids on like a little trip, like to the mall, to the bus factory, to DC, just to enjoy summer, because some single parents now are struggling.
Over the 30 years that I've worked here with possibly, thousands of people, there are people who could have such simple improvements to their lives if they only had a way to get to a job, to get to appointments for a sick child, to get to something as vital as a prescription. If you can't get a prescription for your illness because you can't get there, then your illness can take over what's going on with your life. People who are elderly need to be able to get to things as simple as groceries. We have elderly people in our community living very minimal lives because they don't have a way to get to the needs that they have, and they go, without food, without medicine, and all of that could be changed with readily accessible transportation.
Well, yes, I think we have a need. Of course, as has been told before, we're the only metropolitan city in Georgia that does not have a transportation system.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize is when a company is looking to go to a certain city, they want to make sure people have the transportation to get to and from work.
I can tell you right now, to hear people talk about how they need to get to the grocery stores, they sometimes have to call somebody to take them to the grocery stores, or take them to the doctor's office, or take them to maybe to get some shoes, or get some different things they might need to do. We have a lot of people without vehicles, so they have to pay somebody to take them, and sometimes they can't make it. Sometimes the weather is bad, so they can't go that way as well. We have a lot of elderly people too who would like to go as well, but they have to send somebody else or wait for somebody to take them.
One senior citizen was telling me that she had to pay someone to take her, and she pays from $20 to $30 a week for someone to come take her to get her medication, to take her to Walmart, to take her to the grocery store. Where with the shuttle, she can go free. Also, with the shuttle, she says that the people that she have to pay the $20 to $30 with, sometimes they'll say, I don't have time to take you. Then she got to reschedule her appointments to do anything that she have to do. There's people that want to go to church. They don't have a way to go to church. There's people who want to go, let's say go visit your family on the weekend. They don't have a way to go. Don't leave out Wild Adventure. If we had a shuttle, look how many people could use the transportation, getting to and for the Wild Adventure, and etc. There's so many things that we could use the shuttle for. Even here to the library, we could use the shuttle for coming here.
Absolutely, Valdosta is a metro area, and public transit would be a real plus for our business community, as well as for the students, for the young professionals who now live in our community, who truly would prefer not to have to own a vehicle. It's also very important for those who aren't able to afford transportation, so they can get to and from their jobs and to appointments, medical appointments, and job interviews, to the Georgia Department of Labor. Yes, it's seriously important.
We have found this to be a very, very great
resource here in the community for individuals or persons that are needing transportation to and from different locations, such as the Goodwill Career Center, the Georgia Department of Labor, or some of the other organizations here in the community. We've seen an influx of clients coming to our Career Center simply because they have that complimentary shuttle service available, and it's just an amazing thing. We need it for this area. It's going to help with economic development.
We're saying to those in need that you are important to us, that we care about you, that you matter, and that we are going to, as a city, stand behind you and do what we can to make sure that you have the means necessary to get around.
Hi, it's Alex. Today I want to talk about something that makes me say heck yeah. Heck yeah. So basically I want to talk about public transportation. I love public transportation. It's something that I think has huge benefits for society and is something that is really fun and enjoyable and practical. But unfortunately, right now, in the United States of America, in most cities, public transit is not what it could be. I became acutely aware of this on my recent trip to Germany, where I went to Berlin and then I went to smaller cities like Dresden and then Görlitz and Regensburg. And all of these cities had exceptionally good transit agencies relative to their size. I didn't have a car in Germany, I didn't rent a car. I think I took a total of one very brief trip in a car the entire time. Most of the time we were just walking around and taking regional trains, local trains, and it was awesome. So first I want to talk about why I like public transit. I think transit has a lot of advantages. One of them is that it reduces traffic. I don't know about you, but I've dealt with a lot of traffic congestion over the course of my life. I've spent a lot of time living on the East Coast corridor, which is pretty much congested the whole way from Boston down to DC and a little bit further. And traffic it wastes resources. Like, there are a lot of hours that people spend sitting in traffic, either in long distance trips or in their daily commutes. And it can be stressful to sit in traffic jams. And even when there's not like a completely stopped traffic jam, traffic gums up the roads and it makes it more stressful to drive, it slows you down. Public transportation is awesome because it gets cars off the road, and it's particularly efficient when you're moving a lot of people. For example, like during rush hour, when you have trains, they can take tons and tons of people, and the marginal cost of carrying an additional person is very small. So with taking cars off the road, there are a lot of benefits that come with that. One of them is decreased pollution, so public transit can protect the environment. Decreased noise, because those cars are sort of going around and making noise, and there's also a safety issue. Like, trains in particular are very safe. And even buses, like if you're riding on a bus, your chance of a serious injury is a lot lower than if you're in a car. And I don't know about you, but I know a number of people who have been killed in car accidents, and I know lots more people who have been seriously injured. So it's something that concerns me, and I think that anything that we can do to reduce car usage and car travel is going to help protect human life. So it protects the environment and human life. There are other benefits to transit, though. One thing I love about it is it's just relaxing to ride. Like, when I'm on a train, I can look out the window, or even on a bus, I can look out the window. I can see more of the environment because I'm not paying attention to driving. And I can do things like I can text people safely, which is not safe to do. Don't ever do it in a car. I can read a book. If it's a smooth ride on a train, I can even get a laptop out and get work done. There's so many ways to use that time, whereas if it's in a car, it's pretty much dead time. Another benefit of public transit is that there can be like a kind of community that forms on it. When I've ridden the same bus or train every day, I get to know some of the people, and I've actually formed some valuable relationships that way. Like when I was in Cleveland, I ran a computer consulting business, and I met people on the bus that I ended up having business relationships with. So it had like a tangible financial value to me. I'm not going to be networking to get business contacts when I'm driving in my car. It's just not possible. So there are all these benefits to transit. So I want to conclude by talking about what you can do to get better public transit to happen in the US. The first thing you can do is to ride it. Whenever you ride whatever transit there is, you're giving a little bit of money to the transit agency and you're increasing their ridership. Both of those things help. Now, you may not live in a place with great transit, but I would push you to look up the transit agencies near where you live and see if there's anything that maybe you could ride once in a while or occasionally. I like to sometimes ride bus routes or train routes even if it's a little bit out of my way, because I like walking and getting the extra exercise, and I like taking my mind off the road. So you may find that even if it's slower and more expensive, it actually benefits you in other ways. The second thing you can do is to contact politicians. So write to your politicians and say, hey, I really like public transit and I want better funded public transportation. You can write to state, local, like county level and federal level people, because I think this is an issue that is affecting all levels of government, and I think there's some degree of funding source at all levels of government in the US. And the last thing you can do is to talk about it, to say, hey, public transit is something that I like and that I want to see better, and I want to make it an issue here in America, that people want to improve it. That's what I'm doing with this video. So if you like this and you want to see this happen, I would encourage you to share this video, and if you have any like caveats, anything that you disagree with or think that you could improve, anything to add, please comment. And if you like the topics that I talk about, I would also encourage you to subscribe. Thank you.
Nairobi has long been the economic heart of one of Africa's most important countries, with the city accounting for 45% of Kenya's GDP. However, Nairobi is faced with serious urban planning and management problems. An efficient, affordable, and safe transport system essentially connects people to amenities and daily life. Nairobi has been largely unprepared for the consequences of the rapid population growth, leaving mobility needs in the hands of private cars and uncoordinated and unsafe paratransit operators, the so-called matatus.
I live in Buruburu. I commute from Buruburu to town on a daily basis. In the morning, if I leave very early, I am able to get public transport, but from around 7 I have to really find my way to get a bus, and it takes a lot of time to get to town because we have to use alternative routes because of the traffic. In the evening, I have to get my bus before 4:30, because after 4:30 I have to really queue to get a bus, and the service is not so very good. You know, the conductors and the drivers are not very polite, so it's a real hassle. Public transport in Kenya is a real hassle.
The government itself is a challenge to us. So there are so many rules which we don't know. We find ourselves being arrested for nothing, yet we know we are touts. Yeah. That's one of the challenges. Another challenge, the passengers themselves. They do believe that matatu crew are not cool guys. So whenever you're with the passengers, it's like having a lion and an antelope in the jungle. They are like, okay, these guys, you're supposed to pay this amount, but they don't trust us at the end of the day. And in fact, most of them use abusive languages. They call us makangas, and name that we don't prefer.
We can do better because of the traffic jams. Then sometimes the matatus are too many. Small Nissan matatus are almost everywhere, causing traffic jams, overlapping. So they end up causing more jam on the Kenyan roads. So it's, at the end of it takes longer time. The ones which break traffic rules should actually get arrested and maybe given a penalty. Yeah, because none of that happens. It's just the same unruly matatus, but no one really follows them up.
I'd put it like the government, they harass us so much. Like for example, you're hustling. It's a job like any other. You are arrested. They take you inside there. You are being told of so many rules of which I don't know. Others, they just pick on you. Whenever a traffic police officer stops you and arrests, anytime he stops you, he cannot lack anything to arrest you for a sin. So I want the government to change on that. Let them be reasonable.
A high-quality, citywide public transport system and non-motorized transport network are lacking.
My name is Peter Waiganjo Agasha. I am a member of the faculty at the School of Computing and Informatics at the University of Nairobi. And I'm also part of the Digital Matatu project, which is a project that we are collaborating in. The general idea, or what Digital Matatu is about, is it's about creating data that can be useful to a variety of users around the Matatu system that we have.
My name is Stefanie Holzwart and I am working for the Urban Mobility Unit at UN Habitat in Nairobi, where the headquarters of UN Habitat are based. UN Habitat has used the digital Matatu maps as the basis for demand surveys of public transport, and all that has resulted in the service planning for the first BRT corridor that was produced by ITDP, which is UN Habitat's implementation partner.
Different people have used it to create awareness about the Matatu industry and the Matatu transport system. For example, one of the local technical companies, tech companies, Mat3 Route, now provides a service where users can actually crowdsource information and send, and you can be able to know about maybe certain places where there are situations with in traffic situations, and probably also you can be able to report if there is maybe a problem with the Matatu crew, and I think to us that's a very important development.
Under the project promoting sustainable transport solutions for East African cities, UN Habitat is supporting Nairobi, Addis Ababa and Kampala to upgrade their transport systems.
Os mais de 6 milhões de pessoas que usam ônibus em São Paulo ganharam hoje um serviço que oferece uma informação preciosa pela internet.
E que horas que o seu ônibus vai parar aqui?
Eu não tenho previsão, não sei horário, que hora que ele vai parar.
Essa é uma informação simples e que ajuda a planejar o dia.
Seria bom, né? Porque a gente já sai no horário certo.
A tecnologia já existe e está disponível para 5 corredores de ônibus de São Paulo. Todos os 15 mil ônibus que circulam pela cidade estão equipados com rastreadores e de minuto em minuto a localização de cada um deles é registrada por satélites. Essas informações são enviadas para um computador que cria um mapa. Na página da companhia de trânsito na internet, o passageiro pode pesquisar pela linha ou pelo ponto de ônibus e descobrir quando o próximo vai chegar.
Mas com esse trânsito doido que São Paulo tem, será que dá certo?
Segundo a prefeitura, nesse caso, o trânsito não atrapalha. O sistema faz uma conta simples. Primeiro, Primeiro, checa onde está o ônibus que o passageiro quer pegar. Depois, confere quanto tempo os outros ônibus que estavam imediatamente na frente dele levaram para cumprir o mesmo percurso. Desta forma, a previsão é possível. O novo serviço resolve um problema antigo: informar os passageiros sobre as rotas. Com placas, isso era impossível.
Você manter essa informação fixa, né, num ponto de parada, ela é altamente complexa porque ela teria que ser atualizada constantemente.
Para quem tem acesso à internet em casa, no trabalho ou no meio da rua, o novo sistema ajuda. Nós testamos com o Diego. Aqui está dizendo que ele vai passar às 14h54.
Daqui 4 minutos.
Daqui a 4 minutos.
Isso.
Vamos ver? E exatos 4 minutos depois. É esse aí. 8705101454.
Certinho, em ponto, em ponto.
Assim é bom?
Ótimo, ajuda, hein?
Você vai nele? Corre lá.
Deixa eu lá, falou, já.
Hi everyone. Today I'm going to tell you about public transportation in Hampton Roads. If you're a new student here at ODU, perhaps you don't know about how easy and convenient our public transportation is in Norfolk. It's very easy to use, and I'd like to tell you about the different ways to get around Norfolk today. First of all, of course, we have a bus system. Most students need to use the bus at some point to get around the city. We also have the Tide. The Tide is our light rail, which is like a train. It only runs in downtown Norfolk, but it will take you to some really wonderful places, like the MacArthur Center, or you can go to Waterside with it. It's very nice and very convenient for getting around downtown. Finally, we have the Elizabeth River Ferry, which is very helpful if you're trying to get from Norfolk to Portsmouth. It will take you across the water to Portsmouth, and there you can see the exciting and fun downtown of Portsmouth. To find out more information about how to use public transportation in Hampton Roads, you should visit the Hampton Roads Transit website, which is www.gohrt.com. This is the website. It's extremely easy to use. You'll notice right away over here they have a trip planner. What's great about the trip planner is that you can put in your address, where you live, or you can start at ODU, and then you can type in where you need to go, and if you press Get Directions, it will tell you how to get there, whether you should take the bus, the Tide, or the ferry, what's the easiest way to go, what routes on the bus you should take. So if you're not sure how to get, say, from your apartment to ODU, you can use the trip planner. You can also click up here and learn more about the bus, or the Tide, or you can learn about driving if you have a car and want to learn easiest ways to get around, or you can learn about the ferry. You can also go over here to routes, and you can choose which city you live in to find the best bus routes, where you could park your car, for instance, and ride to work or school in the morning. There's all kinds of information here in services. The Hampton Roads Transit does more than just provide these basic transportation services. They also have many other transportation services depending on where you live. You can find out how much tickets cost and where you can buy them. And many, many other frequently asked questions, how to ride the bus, anything you need to know about transportation, you can find on this website. Let's start over here with routes. If we click on Norfolk routes, we can find out how to travel around Norfolk. Now when we go here, obviously the trip planner is the easiest thing to do, but we also have the option to look here at these routes, and they tell us where they go. If you notice, Route 4 is one of the bus routes that goes through downtown Norfolk and ODU. So if you're looking to travel from ODU to, say, the MacArthur Center, this would be a good route to take. Another one that our students often take is Route 16. Route 16 will actually connect you to the Tide, which is really nice. Let's look at Route 16 now. If you look at Route 16, it gives you a map. You can see that it starts here at ODU, and then it takes you down Colley Avenue, all the way to the EVMC Fort Norfolk station, which is the beginning of the Tide. If you look here, there's a list of times, what time it will pick you up. This is during the weekday. And then you can also see that the times are a little bit different on Saturdays. So you can plan your bus trip. Sundays, the time is also a little bit different, but that way you know exactly what time you need to be at the bus stop to get to your place on time. And usually the buses in Norfolk run on time. Not always, but they're usually pretty close. Now you can also go back up here, and let's for instance look at the light rail. If we look at the light rail, we see a picture of the tide there, and we can find a map with more information on each system, and all of the stations are listed. Let's look at the map and schedule. This is the map. These are the end stations, EVMC Fort Norfolk, and then it goes to Newtown Road. And we can see all the stations in between, with the general times of when we can expect the tide to arrive. It usually comes about every 10 minutes in Norfolk, maybe more often during the weekday when people are riding it to work and back to home. But it gives you a very clear picture of when you can ride the tide. Finally, we can also look over here at the ferry. Now when you click on the ferry button, I don't know why, but it says error 404. But it's very easy because if you go over here, it says Elizabeth River Ferry, and you can click on that instead. You can see a picture of the ferry. It's really very nice. Even if you never need to go to Portsmouth, it's just a fun thing to do on a Saturday when you have nothing else to do. You can get on the water. If the weather's nice, it's just a really pleasant ride, very short. You can see where the ferry takes you. There's a map, and we can look at the ferry schedule. The ferry takes you around the Elizabeth River. It starts in Norfolk, and it stops at two different places in Portsmouth. You can see there's the North Landing Ferry Dock, and there's the High Street Landing Ferry Dock, okay? It usually runs, as you can see, on a 30-minute schedule. So every 30 minutes, you can catch the ferry. Okay, so that means, for instance, that if you were trying to catch the ferry from Norfolk, you would start at Waterside, and it will always be on the 15 or the 45. And then it will take you to High Street and then to North Landing. Okay, very, very easy. So you never have to wait very long for the ferry at all. Of course, there are different schedules in the summer. Sometimes it comes at different times. Sometimes it comes a little less frequently in the summer. But there you have an idea of how you can take the ferry. It's extremely easy to use. Now, how do you get a bus pass? Fortunately for you, as an ODU student, you don't have to pay for a bus pass. It's free, actually. They have a free Go Pass that lasts for an entire year, and you can pick it up at ODU. If you look here, you can see that I've put a black box around the places that you can get the bus pass. You can go to the Office of Parking and Transportation Services, which is in the Elkhorn Avenue garage, or you can go to the University Card Center in Webb Center. Most students go to the Webb Center, to the Card Center, to pick up their card. You have to show your student ID in order to get a bus pass, but as long as you show your student ID, they will give you a bus pass that lasts for a whole year. It's very easy to use. I hope this presentation has made it clear to you how easy it is to use public transportation in Norfolk. It's so easy to get around, and we really do have a wonderful public transportation system. I hope you will use it. Thank you.
transferred to Metra and Amtrak trains at Quincy.
Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about taking toddlers on public transport. So this is something quite dear to my heart because I do it a lot. Jack and I go out and about all the time. And so yeah, I just feel like I've learned a fair bit about the experience. These are tips that could apply for any long journey, but in my situation, I'm just taking public transport a lot, so they are more skewed towards public transport, but I suppose they could also apply for long car journeys and things like that. So I've got 10 tips about how to, I don't want to say the word survive, but you know what I mean. Books are amazing because you can really take your time with them. The little one could sit on your lap or in the buggy and you can just leaf through a book. And yeah, I just find personally that of all the toys, books are perfect for public transport, so take loads. Preferably, I suppose, healthy snacks. I mean, that's what I try and do. So raisins. Raisins are also really good because you can count them out one by one. And they take quite a long time to eat. I also like to bring rice cakes, but just generally food on public transport really works well. Obviously this only applies if you're on a bus, but it's great to sit by the window and look outside and point at all the people walking past and all the cars and all the buildings and all the parks. Jack and I spend a long time people watching out of bus windows. They are, I find, the best distraction. So when someone comes up and they kind of start talking and interacting with Jack, I'm always like, yes. So yeah, use other people, engage other people, don't be afraid to let them talk and play with your little one, because yeah, at the end of the day, that's a really big help. We've got 2 buggies actually. One, we've got the Bugaboo, which I find still really quite light. We've got an even lighter one for travelling, which is one of the Chico ones, and I always take that when we are using public transport because it's just way lighter, way easier to manoeuvre. This took me a while to overcome, I guess, and I spent so much time just waiting at the bottom of stairs, hopelessly just kind of staring as people walk past. If you don't have help, you physically cannot get around a lot of the spots in London. There are a good few tube stations that have lifts, but there's also loads that don't, and you really need another pair of hands, so don't be afraid to ask. I tend to now just grab the first person that walks past because I find the longer you leave it, the harder it gets, and it's kind of building up, so I literally will ask the first person that comes along. And the thing is, everyone is always so nice. Everyone always just, once you ask them, no one's ever said no, but people don't necessarily always offer, but once you ask, they're always really helpful. People can get a little bit frustrated with you if you travel at certain times, so don't travel at rush hour. I've done this once or twice and I've ended up absolutely rammed in a station, and it was really, really unpleasant. No one cared, no one was letting me through. Jack was really not very happy, and yeah, it was not a good idea. I didn't think it through properly at all. In my experience, long journeys on public transport, on buses or tubes, are just really difficult, and I now try and avoid them. So I don't like going on public transport if it's going to be maybe more than half an hour, because in my experience I've just found that anything longer is really, really hard. So yeah, just try and limit your journey length. It normally would take half an hour. When you've got the little one, I usually double that. You want to be relaxed. There is nothing worse than racing along with a buggy, panicking about missing a bus. It's not going to be the most straightforward procedure. It'll probably be quite fun. Probably feel pretty exhausted. It's just a great way actually for him to learn, I find. He looks out the window, as I said, he engages with people, do a bit of reading. Obviously there are challenges, hence why I'm making this video. And also, at the end of the day, I don't think having a baby should stop you going on public transport. So don't shy away from it. Thanks for watching, guys. It was a really short video, but I just wanted to share my experience. Hope you liked it. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel. No, so actually somewhere down there. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.